I want to make quick, not a little video. Hi, my name is Wallace. I'm Fraggin Vampire. Smoking this. Looks like for some reason I just thought it looked like a bug. Like one of those like beetle bugs. Beetle bug on the ground. Smoking, filled with nicotine. That would be something. That would be a very good thing for people's. Maybe not. Little bugs. That's not very little, but be helpful for me though. You know. But, so I want to talk about being respected for me. This is all about me, man. I don't like being respected as a leader. Now that's exactly the opposite of what I would say. Uh, of being if I'm a good. I know, like you gotta watch the other videos to understand like some of the very loose wording I'm using. But being a good guy, if you disrespect my leadership, that's about the worst thing that I would appreciate, But like, as a not good guy, uh, I gotta find a better way to say evil vampire, because evil vampire that that's not really, that's not one of those things that even I like saying, like evil vampire where, it's one of those. But but as an evil vampire instead of a good one, still good, still got my values and my rules and everything. I'm not doing anything bad. Not bad, but as an evil vampire, uh, I don't even want to. I do not want to be respected for my leadership as an alpha. Alpha. I am alpha male. Respect me for my advanced alpha knowledge. I know how to handle situations better than blur blur blur. Um, I've got all this knowledge and instincts, and I can go like this and this and this, move my head like this, and then this person will go like this, and I have advanced training abilities, and I'm God's gift to humanity because I am the number one leader, and there are other alpha males out there, but they all suck. But also, I'm joking because I know how to handle other alpha males because I am an alpha male, and blur 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 blur. I may or may not drive a fast car, but if I'm an authentic, instinctual, um, gosh darn, we're not just talking about the guys who puff out their chests. We're talking about the guys who are the generals, the commanders, the leaders that make other leaders look like shit. We are the leaders, the instinctual leader of the pack. That I know I keep going. I'm just being obnoxious. I'm doing this to be an asshole now. We are the leaders who dance around other leaders and make them look bad. We are the leaders that make people who go to college to become a leader or go to, that's obviously, bullshit. But the reality is this. I'm laughing because I know that I don't know if you've ever met like an authentic alpha male, but if you ever have a person who's it's in their instincts, they not only does it have to be in your blood, your genetics, but it needs to be unlocked. It needs to be developed, and then like lightning from the sky. Lightning needs to come down and get that coal inside of that person, become a diamond of leadership. And how do you get a diamond of leadership? By having other leaders who are also diamonds. Or should I say, godly intervention to make you that number one, not just a creature. You're not just a human anymore. Well, you are human. You are a creature. You're not just a regular dude. No, you are a gift from God. As you know, with that little hand, you have and you have perfect confidence, and you develop it further as you do alpha male things, or you get these magical powers. Oh, we don't talk about our magical powers. How can a regular dude have gosh darn magical powers? Well, let me tell you what, if you get so good at something, if you if you are the leader of the pack, you start developing these abilities that could be considered magical. We start talking about supernatural stuff. You start talking about being so good that you start touching on, it's not only touching, you're fully bathed in the supernatural. That's the kind of leadership, but also the kind of person, the kind of alpha male that I want. I think that anyone would want. What do you want? Wouldn't it be nice to have a dude like that in your life? Just able to mentor you, or just able to hang out, make you laugh at any point, and be on your side. Just where'd this guy come from? I thought this guy was some regular looking dude, but no, this guy's like, how do you move that fast? What the heck's going on? You know, wouldn't you want a person like that in your life? Some people. A lot of trouble comes with guys like me. Trust me, I'm extremely obnoxious. If I, uh, but I'm well aware of that. I can be. That's the point of being an alpha male. You're supposed to ruffle feathers. You're supposed to stand for something. And you're going to correct what is wrong. Or what's really, really wrong. Damn right, go and correct it. So, why do I not want to be respected as that thing I just described? Well, being the only vampire that I know, speaking for myself as a vampire, I'm obviously not speaking for all. I am obviously not speaking for all vampires or whatever. How could I? If I'm the only one that I know. But I do have the gosh darn belief that vampires. Excuse my brief language, real quick. I believe that vampires shit. This is a term. When you shit on something, when you're not literally but figuratively speak, when you literally you're the thing that laughs. I think vampires laugh at alpha males. I think vampires are designed to not make alpha males mad, which they want. Alpha males get power from being angry. It's kind of a secret. But no, vampires completely are capable of completely disabling an alpha male. I don't know. That's a hypothesis that I have. I don't know about completely. I don't know if that's the right word. But are they gosh darn good at disabling the instincts that an alpha male relies on? Absolutely. Do they interfere? No. They do not interfere with the instincts of said person. They just do not compute like it's a computer. You ever like put in a if you've ever done like math or whatever, and you're putting it instead of like numbers, you're putting in like uh, a picture of a dog and a picture of a sheep and a picture of a cat. And the computer is like, why did you just give me a picture of these animals? I'm dealing with numbers. That is what a vampire uh, essentially is to an alpha male. Um, how do I know this? One, because I am an alpha male. I've got those instincts and knowledge and wisdom, and also I've trained years of training. Um, Maybe not. I don't know. How long has it been since that metaphorical lightning bolt hit the coal in my my core and turned me into a diamond of a leader? Probably about 2 years or so. I would say. Not only do I have the self knowledge, self awareness, but I do hang out with other alpha males. I have the privilege of that. So I do have training and uh, knowledge that, yes, it's not just my understanding, it is real world. It has been tested. It has been tested and verified that 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 um, vampires are quite strange to a person who identifies as a alpha male. Why is that? Is there a rational reason? Is it a certain behavior? Is it a fear? No, it's none of that. On the contrary, how do alpha males react to fear? Here's another secret. Not That's not really a secret, but if you're not understanding of the culture and the behaviors of alpha male person, um, fear equates to sexuality. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me why God made certain men this way. But I think it makes sense from like a survival standpoint. You want your top leader to not be afraid or be resistant to fear. Makes sense. No, it's not fear. Of course, a leader can feel fear. The type of leader that I'm describing. There's many types of leaders. There's many different variants that I've come across in just my brief lifespan of men and women who are different. There's different leadership types. It's complicated, but what I'm speaking more specifically has to do with genetics and training and mentorship. Um, no, it's not fear. It's that vampires are a different breed. Um, uh, which works, which is interesting. How do I say this? This has actually been a discovery that I have made, and that other alpha males have made as well. That vampires work very, 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 very good, very well alongside alpha male leadership. So good that, dare I say, it was meant to be. A phenomenon that, unless another alpha male dude has come across a friendly vampire before, which is, those are two very, that's a very unlikely scenario to begin with. Um, you wouldn't know until you've lived it, you've experienced it. But no, from a teamwork, at working as a team, from that perspective, you know, is this going to work? Is this guy and this guy going to get along? Are they going to be able to both use their supernatural? It is super. I call it supernatural, but it's not. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and just say alpha male abilities are supernatural. Even though I don't want to say that because I want to say they're you know huh. No, I'm going to say that. The reason why I say that is that if you're doing things that what you consider a normal man or normal person to be able to do, and you're exceeding that, you're doing actual things that are um, beyond the understanding of science, or at least what I think science has come to understand. Then yeah, that's gosh darn supernatural. Um, so you got two supernatural beings. They're both human, working alongside each other. What does that look like? Well, it don't really look like anything. And what I mean by that, you got to see it firsthand to really. It's like nothing else. It's really cool. It's like you got two. Trying to think of a good analogy for this. It's like you got trying to think of like sports. You got like two different athletes that are completely different. Just they're very, very different styles, but they're on the same team, and they're playing a game. They're playing basketball, let's say, and they're passing the ball to each other. It's like very, very, very different, but they're great together. You know, and but back to what I originally said. No, I don't want to be respected as a gosh darn alpha or a leader, particularly in being with an evil mindset. No, I want to be respected as a the vampire. You know, part of me would want to say, ironically, and this is completely jokingly, is that I spit on alpha males. Like alpha males mean nothing to me, but that's not the truth at all. Clearly, you know how like you got some people may say like, "Oh, I'm so much better," but the irony is that vampires don't think like that. I've mentioned in a couple of videos how in vampiric mindsets things don't have meaning. Um, It's like they do and they don't. They don't inherently, but upon further investigation of these thoughts, you can able to see uh, where I don't, like this topic. I guess I'll just go ahead and explain for because I realize this is kind of it took me like a few minutes to talk about just a previous video, so I feel like I'm repeating myself. But it's like there's a numbness. There's a numbness um, when in a vampiric mindset, a numbness like feeling when analyzing something. It does not have meaning, but and it does not have emotion. But I can look into it further and see where it has it, um, and relate to what I have as an understanding of it. What I've experienced in just normal, what I would say, just normal, non-vampiric. Uh, for simplicity's sake, say in human mode versus in vampire mode. In human mode, obviously, I've had feeling. I know what the feelings are. I could identify them. Um, but I don't have the same experience. It's a completely different experience, is what I'm trying to basically say. Where it's dulled, there's that numbness like um, to my thinking as a vampire. So to say that I spit on alpha males, I'm so much better, it does not even compute. Um, Back to computing and trying to make equations, trying to make analogies. Like as a vampire, I would just never do that. I'd just be like, oh, look at that guy over there. I know what he is, you know, and I know what I am, and both things are equidistant. I really don't care, it's just they're just things. It doesn't really have meaning, to me. But I realize that if I'm going to have a conversation, or if I'm going to speak clearly, the, there should be common ground in some way to have an understanding. So yes, it does have. Yes, I'm not saying that what you believe or who you are or what I am or anything does not inherently have meaning for conversation's sake, for communication's sake. But right now, as a gosh darn vampire, no, I don't really see um, the same way that you're seeing. So I may not make the same jokes. I may do so for funsies, but no. You know, the whole "I'm better than you, you're better than me" thing is, it's pointless. Um, but yeah. So yes, I want to be respected as a vampire. I think being a vampire is way cooler. That's just my opinion. That's my stance. That is my belief. I know as an alpha male, I would freaking hate that. Like, but hate it in a lovingly funny way. Imagine being a guy. You be a woman too. You be a woman. Let's just say I'm talking about men too much, but like, just a person. Imagine being a very prideful. Imagine being one of the most competitive, prideful type of person that you can imagine. And someone says, forget what I just said. Um, I'm better than you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Like, to that competitive person, they'll just get mad, clearly, or start uh, uh, they may not say anything that's no fun, but for funsies, they might start arguing and debating, you know, and then but um, like I said about the vampiric mindset, I would just say that kind of thing just to joke around and relate and piss off my friends. Uh, so back to respect and respecting as a vampire. How do you respect a vampire? Well, just like respecting anyone else, right? No, that's the thing. Like the point of respect is for okay. This is my personal belief. This is what I like. It's my preference. If you're gonna respect me, do it right. Do it in a way that I like. That's appropriate for the situation, for who I am, and my what my accomplishments or my character or my rank. We're not. I'm not in the military. Um, my job title. That's ironic. But what I'm known for, what my place is, so to speak. You know, uh, if you're going around just saying "sir" to me all the time, it's clearly gonna that would bother me because there are times and places call people "sir" or "ma'am." It's not everything. It's not an every time thing. Because if it becomes an every time thing, and if you respect me when I don't feel like it's appropriate, it's not disrespectful, but it's like, come on, bud. Like, are you not aware of when to say certain things in times and places when it's appropriate? Like, to me, that just means that the person I'm talking who's going around calling me sir every time or whatever, and there's some people that I know who do that. Um, that it does get to a point where it's ridiculous. Uh, so how does a vampire want to be respected? I don't think a vampire really wants to be respected at all, for the most part. But so instead of being called sir, it don't feel right calling a vampire sir. Like, that does that even sound like? Does, this is just me talking. A question out loud. Does that sound right? When sir and ma'am are not appropriate, like there are times when you can call them by their title. Like, some people actually have titles, like you can think of different things, but I think titles are more appropriate. I've had people just say, like vampire, and like kind of nod their head or whatever, and like out of a sign of respect, or they might say count, count. Some people like saying that, it's respectful, and it's a title. Um, that makes me feel good, you know, being respected in a nice way that's appropriate. That's a title. Uh, you know, I think that's the right way to respect. But also, like, with respect, how do you treat a vampire? A- We're talking about kind vampires. We're not talking about people who, you know, are not nice, who aren't good people. We're talking about good people. We're talking about good vampires. Consider myself a good vampire. Um, Even though I'm an evil mindset, still a good vampire, in common terms, in common ways. When you see a person, you see a vampire, like, oh, is that a good one? I mean it in that way. Yes, I'm a good one. Um, how do you treat a good one? Um, just with kindness. It's simple. Just kindness. And I've said that before in another video. So, you know, say, um, address, I'm just talking about me right now. It's how I want to be addressed when, as a vampire. You can say count, or you can say vampire, ironically or whatever, as an asshole, it's fine. And just treated with kindness. That's it. It's not very complicated. I'm not saying that I'm gonna in any way get really that bothered, but that's just if someone doesn't, you know, uh, abide by my preferences, that is just preference. So, do I think vampires deserve respect? Why would a vampire should a vampire even get respect? Of course, of course. You know, I think if well, actually, I don't. That's interesting. You say of course. I say of course, but with all the hate, you know, but also to make it more complicated, this issue. Um, I talk about how the identifying and the understanding of vampires I've theorized and hypothesized and tested, and I believe I have proven to myself at least that the identification and understanding of vampires is instinctual, that all people and can, maybe not all people, but most people can instinctually identify vampire. So, so the fact that people can instinctually uh, identify vampire, but there's also that hate. That I could clearly see an argument as to why for and against respecting gosh darn fragging vampires. Uh, but I do believe I deserve respect as a vampire. Simply because I'm a gosh darn nice guy and a gosh darn supernatural creature. So, you know, um, without taking into consideration who I am, and what I've done, and you know, simply just for being a good vampire. Yes, and not even because I'm good. I think even a person who I don't even want to talk about, like, you can talk about good vampires, bad vampires. I don't want to talk about bad vampires. Do I have a kind of prejudice against bad vampires? This is just me talking. This is me. This is actually pretty revealing as well for me. I realize this in therapy. No, I don't have prejudice. Um, you ever see? Let me explain further with kind of like a analogy. It's like you got think of like ridiculous things to say, but like for me, it's like being in sobriety, like from being sober from drinking alcohol. Like I would do most anything not to be sitting next to an alcoholic, particularly one who just drank alcohol and smell alcohol in a person's breath when I've been sober for over 2 years. It makes me feel like crap. Makes me feel makes me feel like I'm disrespecting myself. The fact that I'm doing something I don't want to do. I don't want to sit next to a person who, not because of, it has to do with me, not what their behavior is, but it affects me. It makes me feel bad. Um, so that's not a prejudice. It's just preference. Um, it makes me feel uncomfortable to sit next to someone who smells like alcohol. So, and in that way, that explanation, you know, if you sat me next to an evil vampire who had different, because how I would consider them evil, that would mean that their values and their behaviors are what I consider uh, wrong for me, and also wrong for what I believe in. Then no, I would not want to sit next to them. I may converse with them, but I, I feel I may not even converse, honestly. Like I said, like it's like talking to someone who has alcohol in their breath. Like I don't want to talk to them. And if I was gonna talk to them, then it would be like there would be a really good reason, you know. So and I do it mostly. This is also pretty revealing. I was gonna say out of self-preservation, but also it's my values. You know, I don't feel like I have to explain it any further than that. My boundaries and my values. And I'm getting all serious right now. That's one of my serious faces. But I know part of me is like, you're no fun. What about for learning and for but like, nah. Just thinking about it just makes me wince. So and the more I think about it, then I start, probably start snarling like an alpha male would. Like, so no, hard pass on that. So probably, so I guess it's just one of those things that I want to talk about, which is interesting. There's not many things that I would probably say that to, but maybe there is, but I can't think of many. Should you respect an evil vampire? One that I would say one identified as an evil one. Should I say a bad one? That's a better phrase for it. There's good and bad ones, right? Yeah, the good ones are nice, the bad ones are. Should you respect someone who's bad like that? Oh, well, I would say no. You know. Hey, pretty long video. Wasn't really expecting this video to go for this long. But glad I start talking about things that made me want to talk about more things. So we'll go ahead and end the video. I know it's long and I'm tired. I'm rambling, and appreciate y'all for letting me vent and to talk about things. I appreciate y'all for watching. All right, y'all. Have a good night. Bye.